Hello, everyone. Welcome to Philosophonics, episode 17. So glad to be here this evening with you all. Hope everybody has been having a wonderful, wonderful week thus far and enjoying the spring slash as we go into summer. I know it's warming up here. And we got the long weekend. Hope you guys have some days off. Anyhow, I'm just gonna kind of keep going on the train that I've been on with the piezoelectric stuff and the DNA, and just sort of divulge organically the stuff that I've been learning lately. And I titled this episode Synthesis Part 1 because as I go through these kind of things and different pieces of the puzzle, hopefully we can start synthesizing some of this stuff together and doing some kind of experiments on the stream, which is really exciting. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to get started in the normal way. I'll play 3 original songs for you all this evening. I'm going to play you guys Hero, Kafka and Ice Cream, and Functionalism. Then we'll go into the chat, followed by a couple covers, and we'll end it out with a meditation. So much love to you guys, wherever you may be, wherever this evening finds you. And here goes some original music. Hey, Julie, what's up? Welcome. Happy Thursday. Happy Philosophonics Day. Yeah, we're just going deeper into the rabbit hole tonight. So super excited and glad to have you here. I can't solve all your problems, only offer you some. When the world is weighing heavy on your shoulders, I'll write melodies that help us get along. And I ain't got no more songs about breakups, and I'm done sharing my pain. So I guess I am just here for the music. What it does to me, I cannot explain. But I can't be your hero. I'm only one solitary girl with her fingers always on the piano, praying for a better Oh, we got folks joining in here. Hey, Gina, what's up? What's up? Happy Thursday to you. Got the crew coming in strong tonight. Love y'all, guys. Let's see, Gina, you said, oh, you got a throat and sinus infection. Man, I'm so sorry for you. And the teeth are involved, which that's just next level. I will send you after I get off tonight, Gina, something that's helped me whenever I've had that kind of sinus pressure. It's actually like a sound thing on YouTube, like a little video that seems to help me. So maybe it will help you. And I'm sorry that you're suffering. That is literally the worst. So I don't have any too rowdy songs tonight. So hopefully the chiller songs will keep the pressure at bay. All right, this is Kafka and Ice Cream. Relax now, clear your mind of all those thoughts. Sail with me on a boat across the ocean, and we'll leave the most in ring, fitting nicely in their boxes. Oh, the joys of using our brains. Oh, the joys of going insane, as we well should, when you feel so good. Remind me of music, a symphony inside your head, a symphony inside your head. Oh, the joys of touching your skin, and oh, the joys of letting you in, as I well should, when life is this good. 'Cause life's not a pipe dream. Sometimes the weight of the world can drive me insane. There are some nights when I just can't sleep. All the angels are screaming inside of me, but I just can't hear what you're saying. Although some may say that it's true, 'cause the weight of the world brings me in like a magnet, brings me right back to blue. You may have noticed the power of a smile. Even the children forget that once in a while. If we all take this moments we have and give it a chance, the lives that we're living can bring freedom at last. And there are some nights when I just can't sleep. All the angels are singing inside of me, but I just can't hear what you're saying. Although some may say that it's true, 'cause the weight of the world can be free like a magnet, free from me and you. All right, you guys, that was 3 originals for you all. Yes, I'm sending well wishes to you, Gina. Just praying in my own way right now that your healing advances quickly, and we are here for you. So, yes, sending you all the whale vibes, sister. Now that that's done, we can get into the chatty chat. So I'm super excited. Last week we kind of left off where I was like, I need to learn the math. That's just where I'm at. I need to learn the math of piezoelectric and some other things in order to break through the boundaries and start connecting all of this stuff. Well, so that's what I did this week, is try and dive into really comprehending kind of what's going on a much deeper and also mathematical level. And so there is one formula that I showed last week that is a little bit more complex, but I started this week with a very simple one, which actually, Julie, you are the one that turned me on to this article about ultrasound, and this article included this formula, but it's crazy because I've known this formula for a very long time, ever since sound engineering school. So You can rearrange this formula in many different ways, but the way that it is shown here is that wavelength, which is that little lambda sign, the guy that looks like he's leaning over, is equal to the velocity, which is basically the speed of sound, that which we'll get into in a minute, divided by the frequency. So you can rearrange this, for those of you that know a little bit of algebra, by putting the frequency back up at the top, doing a little rearranging, and you can basically rearrange this formula for frequency to figure for frequency. I forget the word. To find the frequency. We'll just call it that. So this formula is really, really important, and it shows the relationship between the wavelength and what is the resulting hertz. So first, to understand that, we need to kind of know a couple key things. So I'm not sure if I've gone over these yet in a previous episode, but I'm doing it now. So what is a wavelength? This is an image that's showing you exactly what we're talking about when we talk about the lambda guy, the wavelength, right? So basically we have a sine wave going on right here. And as it goes up, the very top that it gets is the crest. And as it goes down, we call it the trough. Now, notice that there is a midline, that gray dotted line. So it is equally going up in the crest maximum and down in the trough maximum. Okay, and the wavelength is the distance between, let me see if I can, oh yeah, okay, right there. The distance between the two crests, or you could be using the two troughs as well, but it is the distance between those two maximums. Okay, amplitude is the maximum extent that it vibrates or oscillates. So you can measure amplitude from the midpoint, or you can measure it the full distance between the crest and the trough. But typically I'm used to measuring amplitude from the midpoint, that gray line, up to the top of the crest. Okay, so that is what we're talking about when we're talking about wavelength, is what is the length between the two waves of the ocean, the highest points of them. So back to our formula. I'm going to get good with the images tonight. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Okay, so wavelength is that distance, right? So if we take the speed of sound divided by the frequency, we can get the wavelength. And then if we rearrange the formula, we can get the frequency from the wavelength, right? From the distance. So really all you need to understand at the end of the day about this formula is that by having the pitch, we can find the length. And by having the length, we can find the pitch, right? That's all you really need to comprehend right now about that. Now, I said we'll get to velocity in a minute because the speed of sound actually has a standard number in air, but it has different speeds when it's regarding things like bones or parts of our body or just any denser thing. It may not travel as fast as it does through air. So it's important that for our velocity number, we always take into consideration what is the speed of sound in that particular medium, okay? That can vary. All right, so I think I expressed the main point of that guy, right? Like that by having distance, we can find pitch. By having pitch, we can find distance. Pretty cool, right? The next thing that you kind of need to understand, picture city, is phase. We're not going to really get into this. I'm showing you that ahead of the picture ahead of time. Okay. There is phase. So when you hear the word phase of two sine waves, it is a relationship. Okay. Something in its absolute phase with itself is not really too important. But when we put it in relationship with another frequency, that is when we can really use the term phase. And it is represented by that Greek little zero looking thing with the line through it. Oh, it's called theta. There you go. The image says it. But as you can see, these are two frequencies, the red and the blue, of the same hertz, the same pitch. So they have the same wavelength, but one is starting slightly before the other. That distance between the two, you can measure at the crest, at the midpoint, or really anywhere, is what the phase relationship is with each other, okay? And that's often expressed on a 360-degree axis, which we'll probably get into next week and not this week. But I just wanted you guys to know kind of exactly visually what's happening when something is in phase or has a phase difference. So in phase would mean those two are actually on top of each other, right? There's no distance between them. 180 degrees actually means that when one is at its max crest, the other is at its max trough, okay? So just a couple of basic definitions. So a lot of this information that's out there between the piezoelectric situation and the body is having to do with ultrasound. So that's where I went to read a lot about. And it is actually using different speeds, different frequencies, right, to send. So it has an electrical signal that's then sent into a sound wave, turned into a sound wave that's then blasted into the body. And those sound waves are reflected back many times, right? So this is going on very quickly, lots and lots of times. Sound waves are being sent to the body. They're either being absorbed, which will be important later, or they are reflected back or refracted, all kinds of things. But this process, then when the sound bounces back, it's then sent again into an electrical signal, which is where you get the ultrasound picture. So when you're looking at a picture of an ultrasound, it's a series, just like your printer prints a lot of dots, right? Has a resolution. That's what's happening with the ultrasound is electrical, piezoelectric being sent into sound waves, into the organ or whatever part of the body they're looking at, then sent back to electrical signals into the image. Pretty cool. This is all done with the piezoelectric effect. Amazing, right? And for ultrasound, that is way high up in the megahertz range. So typically it depends on it said how deep you're wanting to measure, right? So if you're wanting to get to more like internal organs, that frequency is lower because, check it out, now that you know the formula, the wavelengths are longer, right? So it's traveling a longer distance within the body. And the higher frequencies are the less deep into the body measurings of ultrasound. Pretty cool. Another way in which they use frequency, because as you can recall, frequency is cycles per second. So I talked about just like your printer's doing the dots, right? If you up that cycles per second, you have what they call an increased resolution. So you have a higher bit rate or pixel rate, however you want to think of it in your mind. It's a higher resolution versus a lower resolution. So that is what is going on with ultrasound. And depending on how deep they need to go into the body to get this imaging depends on their frequencies. Ugh. Okay, so it was important to kind of learn how the ultrasound worked because that's going to come in handy, I think, as we start to synthesize things, and keep that formula in your mind. Julie, I love your hands up in celebration. Get it, girl. All right. That's kind of where I know this is going to seem like so just like I'm going like here and then here and here and here, but they are all synthesizing together, I promise, at least in my brain. So now I'm going to move on to the second part of the chat, right? Which is the DNA part of the chat. So we have the learning the formula, learning that relationship between the pitch and the distance, going on with sort of the piezoelectric ultrasound talk of tonight. Now we're going to part 2 of DNA. So DNA stands for, let me read the word, deoxyribonucleic acid. That is the full name of DNA. So it is this acid strand. Okay, DNA is built off of 4 building blocks, right? So let me get the picture of DNA up for you. I really like Julie, I love you so much. You're cracking me up, girl. Okay, so this is my favorite little pic of DNA, and it is composed of 4 different little guys. I'm just gonna call them little guys. That is, I'm probably gonna say these wrong. I should have practiced. Adenine, I know I'm saying that wrong, which we'll call it the A. Thymine, which we'll call it the T. Guanine, the G, and cytosine. Oh my gosh, just laugh at me for saying them wrong because I know I am. So, as you can see in our little DNA picture, there are the A's, the T's, the G's, and the C's, and certain ones like to connect to each other. So the A's like to connect to the T's, and the G's like to connect to the C's. How are they connected, you ask? Well, they are connected via a hydrogen atom. There is a hydrogen bond that connects those 2 things, the guys that like to pair up, right? A's like, I'll work with you, T, and G's like, I'll work with you, C. Physics or chemistry with Ashleigh Stone. Okay, so those are the 4 things that are mainly rearranged in a DNA strand to come up with your DNA and genetic code. Okay. The 2 strands of nucleotides are held together by hydrogen. I said that. Boom. On the outside, there is a phosphate backbone, right? So when you're seeing this helix, the blue little twisty part on the outside is composed of phosphate. Now, there is an image that did not make it into my talk, but I think this one will represent it. So keep in your head, hey, Mr. Gummy Bear, what up, girl? Oh my gosh, we got like all the crew up in here tonight. Welcome, Allie. Meet Julie. Meet Gina. Just a bunch of as is. I was gonna say a word that I probably can't say on the stream. Bunch of cool people here tonight. Okay, so Allie, if you don't know what we're doing, we're figuring out how to heal the whole world. No worries. Just pop right in. You'll be fine. Okay, so we talked about the 4 letters, talked about the phosphate things. Cool. Now check out this picture. It's some DNA. Okay. Oh, Lordy. Okay, so this is the exact same thing. This is a DNA strand. But now, y'all, instead of seeing the little cartoon one, you're seeing another cartoon one that's showing you the atomic structure that's going on, right? So each one of those A, T, G's, and C's are made up of certain combos of only those kind of atoms: hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, and phosphorus. Holy cow. And on this image too, you can see our C, T, A, and G's and how those guys are made up of just those cutie little atoms, right? So when we really start breaking this DNA down, we see that it's all kind of constructed from these cute atoms. And that's important, right? Because atoms have a frequency. Let's talk about that. Let me be a good girl and remove my images. What? Oh, nice. That's awesome that you were in Cali, Misfit Gummy Bear. I bet it was beautiful there, and I'm sure you had the time of times. So welcome back to your lands. So glad to have you here. Okay. I showed y'all the atomic structure. Okay, so here's what's important now. This is where I start synthesizing things. A DNA strand overall has a frequency of 1.91 gigahertz. Okay, so if you're looking at a whole DNA, it's approximately 1.91 gigahertz to 4.29 gigahertz, somewhere in that range. What is a gigahertz? Well, it's a lot. It actually is a billion, right? So, that number, that range, right, 1.91 to 4.29 gigahertz, the frequency of DNA. I did this math, you guys, 2.38 gigahertz difference, okay, between that range. That's how big that range is of what DNA could potentially be. Giga is 1 billion. So that means that that is a frequency range, are you ready, of 2,380,000,000 hertz. Holy mackerel. That's a huge frequency range if you consider the fact that audible sound is 20 to 20,000 hertz. 2.38 billion is a lot, right? Unless, my friends, we go back to Plato's 2-to-1 ratio, which I will keep hounding for the rest of my life. Plato's 2-to-1 ratio, because it is the octave ratio. We know that for a fact, right? And if we're using that 2-to-1, right, then that $2.38 billion billion hertz frequency range is actually only a little over an octave of what we would consider in the pitch scales, right? So 1.91 times 2, you could get an octave up and then some change, right? So less than 2 octaves, more than 1 octave, that 2.38 billion. But that's the cool news, is that this seems like a drastic number, but if we use the 2-to-1 ratio, then we only are working with 12, probably somewhere around 15 half steps to target these things. Now, I'm sure there is a lot more involved in that, but that gives me hope, right? 2-to-1 ratio, yes. Because that means that if we are trying to take this down by dividing by 2 a million bazillion times into the audible range, right, in order to then manipulate on the higher overtones, follow me here, the atomic structure, then we only are dealing with a little bit over an octave that we will need to be working with. What? Okay, that was a nice revelation for me. So now that we kind of talked about what is the resonant frequency of DNA, which if you'll recall back when we talked about resonant frequencies, this is the glass breaking stuff, right? This is the Rife machine shattering cancer cells. This is all matter being shattered when it finds its resonant frequency, right? So we know the resonant frequency of DNA, and that's really cool. All right, so that's the overall DNA, though, right? That's not one aspect of that little cute atomic structure, that guy, right? That's accounting for that 1.91 to 4.29 is all of it. So then I started looking up, okay, well, there's only like 5 different elements being used there. So guess what? You can find out the resonant frequency of hydrogen itself and the other atoms itself. So much so that it is called the hydrogen line. And I don't really know much about that, but they made a name for it called the hydrogen line. And hydrogen's frequency is 1.42 something gigahertz, right? So we're in this gigahertz land of things. Ultrasonic is in the megahertz. We're talking even further high up. But I'm going to stick to the 2-to-1 that we can just keep dividing to go down into different spectrums. And because of piezoelectric, those will then transfer into the electromagnetic fields of these atomic structures. What? We've done it. Okay, so if you'll recall, you can look at, you guys might have, oh, it's so cute to bring this up. Look at this guy. Do you remember it? It is called the periodic table of the elements, and it shows all of the atomic. Now, this one does not have it, but if we were looking at a more informative periodic table of the elements, it would have the atomic mass. It would have the like electron levels of things. Yeah, and we could actually find the frequencies of every single one of these, which is cool. So, lastly, on that part, I want to talk about. It says I wrote remove image for myself. Yeah. Boom. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes, I like to explain things in song, Misfit Gummy Bear. As you know, things like the alphabet. I was gonna sing the ABCs. Yeah, things like the alphabet, good in a song, right? There's that song about the states, like Alabama, Alaska. I learned that in 5th grade, and I can still sing it, and I can say all the states for y'all guys. I'm not gonna do that right now. Back to the topic. So genes, which we're gonna get to. I was gonna put the human genome explanation in this chat, but I was like, nah, it's just too much. It's too much. So next time we're gonna take it further into what is the human genome, right? Like, how is it actually working that certain things are giving us this eye color or this whatever disease or this or male or female, etc. Those are part of our genes, and there's a thing called human genome. But basically, I need to know is that these DNA strands are packaged together in a thing. Your chromosomes. Chromosomes. I love that word. Someone should make that a band name, like the chromosomes. And they're packaged in a thing called chromatin, and that can be edited. The package, right? The wrapping paper of that can be edited. And also, if we can get to it, the atomic structures of those proteins can be edited. So I'm going to kind of stop at that point for tonight. Just because I think that's a good place to stop, just generally comprehending how this DNA is made, and then also comprehending that these things on the microscopic level, which we haven't even got to the quantum levels yet of things, but have this relationship, right? So wavelength, relationship with pitch, relationship with piezo, right? So it's all being tied together. So yeah, I'm learning it as I can learn it, and it's coming together, y'all. And lastly, I just have one thing that is, so when they're called oxidative lesions, this is a tear in those nucleotides, the guys that like to connect are 4 guys, the A, T, G, and C. When those things rip apart in this oxidative lesions, that's when it can start causing cancer, or things can start being replicated incorrectly. These double strand breaks, right, are the problem. So one thing I do want to look at is creating hydrogen or an attraction to, can we repair those back together? So yeah, next week we'll get into the human genome. We'll get into a little bit about CRISPR, actually, because I had to learn the ways that that's working in order to kind of understand how certain genes can be cut out and altered. But yeah, we gonna do it with sound, y'all. So super exciting. Let me know if y'all have any questions, and I'll put in the rebroadcast some key terms and videos that will take you, of course, deeper down the rabbit hole with that information. And yeah, just like the philosophical aspect tonight is how are folks already altering DNA? Who's out there? I talked about CRISPR. There is some theories with the psychedelics that Julie told me about, and Terrence McKenna and Dennis McKenna, imprinting frequencies into psychedelics that are then ingested and alter the DNA composition, hydrocarbolation. So yeah, people are already editing it in different ways. Actually, UV rays are editing it, causing these breaks. Many things are already doing it, and yeah, we'll just keep connecting the dots together until we get closer and closer on this part of things. There's so much more I want to just dive into with you guys, but for now, that is the chatty chat part. I hope that has been tingling to your brain and stimulating your mind, and it's got the wheels turning in some ways. And all right, I'm going to play a couple of songs for you guys, and then we'll end it out with the meditation. So I hope you have fun. Misfit Gummy Bear, it's your karaoke thing. I see the invites. I'm still not up enough to join them live, but I hope you guys have a good time. It's a really great group of people. So if you're on TikTok, find Misfit Gummy Bear. There's a cool group of people that do some, like, it's almost like a, what do you call it? Show and tell. It is to me. Like, people sing, they read poetry, all kinds of good people. Gina, hope you're feeling better, sister, and I will remember when I'm done. Just give me a minute and I'll send you that frequency thing for sinus pressure. Hopefully that helps you. Julie, love you. Thank you for guiding me to many of this week's information. And yeah, here's a couple covers, and love you guys so much. Have a great rest of your week and a good long weekend. Tonight's meditation, I'll simply start you with an idea. Of imagining the DNA inside your body. However that looks in your mind's eye, place it there. And please use this time to send your body and your DNA love. Let it relax and thank it for being whole. Let the overall majesty of your body receive your love tonight. Thank your temple for carrying that sweet heart. given so much love to the world this week. Give yourself just a moment to give it to yourself. And now send that love to the space around you. And even further out.